In today's video, I want to talk to the independent video producer, someone who wears a lot of different hats, someone who knows what it's like to bid out jobs, maintain client relationships, and develop new business. So as you know, one of the most critical tasks in securing that job is creating a budget estimate for your potential client. I posted another video on this channel. I will link to it in the description below about how much does a video cost and how you are to answer that question when it pops up, because it will. That's one of the very first things a potential client is going to ask you. Hey, I'd like to do a video. How much does it cost? And you have to be prepared for that. But then there's going to be a time where you have to put together that estimate to present to the client, to tell them, okay, here's what we're thinking this is going to cost you. The budget estimate, has to be reasonable and accurate, but it also has to demonstrate value to the client. So in this video, I just want to go over a few things that have worked for me in the past, in my freelance days from a while back, some things that may help you. As always, if you have any other suggestions or things you want to share, put those in the comments below. Obviously, the first thing you want to do is just gather all necessary information. That goes without saying, you would think. But a lot of times a potential client, especially those that aren't accustomed to dealing with a video production company, they're not going to know everything that you need to know in order to put together the most accurate budget necessary. A lot of times in my experiences, those clients that don't have much of a history with video production companies, they might just come to me and say, hey, I want to do a promotional video for my website. I want it to be about 5 minutes. We want to showcase this product or this service. How much will that cost? So it becomes important for you then to take that grand, 30,000 foot view and start to drill down, okay? So you want to create, in that budget estimate, you want to find out all the necessary information about the project. You want to understand exactly what the client's going for, the goals of the project, where it's going to live, what's going to happen to it, distribution plans, everything. Second thing that I did in my freelance days was just kind of research the market. I came from a smaller market. Rates are going to be lower for video production professionals in some cities versus other cities. So this, again, is where you want to strike a nice balance. You want to make a profit, obviously. You want to have enough money to kind of reinvest in your business. You want to have enough money to pay everyone the standard rates for that market. So you never want to undercut yourself. It's never supposed to be a race to the bottom. So research the rates of other video producers in your area, other companies. Make sure that your rates are competitive yet reasonable to reflect the experience of everyone involved. So there's also a balancing act here, right? If you charge too much, you may lose out on potential clients because you're overvaluing what is currently in your market, right? So if you are charging way above what the market charges, you're going to lose out on a potential client possibly because they can just go to someone else. But if you charge too little, first of all, you're not going to make enough to sustain your business. You're going to be, giving off this particular vibe to the market, to potential clients about the type of company that you are, that you're just, you're going to do it fast, you're going to do it cheap. And you got to ask yourself, is that really what I want to do? And so you don't want to undervalue yourself either. So strike the balance there. Create the budget estimate that's fair, competitive, and meets the client's needs. All right, next you always have to determine your overhead. What are your expenses going to be? So you have to include everything: equipment rentals, your crew, your talent fees, little things that you might not think of if you're new to the business, location permits, post-production expenses that you may incur, voiceover talent. I mean, there's just a lot to consider. Things that, you might not think of right from the start. You have to also factor in a percentage that is considered profit for your business. Let me say it another way. Let's suppose that the production budget for the entire shoot is $50,000. On top of that, you want to factor in a production fee of a percentage that you feel comfortable with, that you can then take off from that $50,000 and put it back in your business as profit. By knowing your desired profit percentage, you can create a budget estimate that not only covers your expenses, but it also provides income that you need to thrive as a video producer. Next, I think you should create a detailed breakdown in your estimate. You know, a detailed breakdown of the budget estimate is going to be essential to demonstrate the value of the project to the client. You know, break down your expenses by category so they can see it. Pre-production, production, and post-production costs as 3 main categories. And then include a brief description of each item. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what this person does. This gives a client a clear understanding of what they're paying for and where their money is going. You also want to consider potential contingencies. So when you're creating that estimate, you want to consider, like, what happens if we have to cancel due to a rainout that we're not expecting? Equipment malfunctions. What if a day is cut short for any reason? What if a talent has to cancel? What's the plan going to be? And are you going to be covered for any extra expenses that you might incur due to unforeseen circumstances? Be transparent. Transparency is critical, I think. You know, you want to be upfront with your client about any potential cost overruns. You don't want your client to be surprised on the back end. You know, be clear about what's included and not included in your estimate. So you want to make sure that you're doing that so you can build trust with the client and also demonstrate your professionalism. Next, be flexible, be understanding, and accommodating. You know, if a client is hesitant to commit to the budget due to constraints that they have on their end financially, offering to split the cost of the production over 2 fiscal years might be an effective way to make the project more affordable and attractive to the client. So you can offer to spread the cost out for them. It might become more manageable for the client, and they may be more willing to move forward with the project because of that. Additionally, by offering this option, you can demonstrate your flexibility and your willingness to work with that client to find solutions that works for both parties. This can only help to build a positive relationship with the client, which is what you always want, and it will increase the likelihood of future collaborations because they will think back to that experience and say, hey, this guy was great to work with. I loved how flexible they were. As I mentioned before, these are things that have worked for me and things that I would advise someone who is new to this business. I definitely advise you to see what other people are doing, people that you trust, get their advice, people that have been in the industry a lot longer than you have. If you'd like to know the template that I use in my video productions when it comes time to budgeting a project, you can definitely get a link to that document that you can use. You can save it. It's an Excel spreadsheet. I've used it for years, and I'll put a link to that document in the show notes as well. As always, you can connect with me at linktree.com/Clint Till. Thanks for watching.